Good morning and welcome to the Eclectic Radical. As always, I'm Chris Richards, the Eclectic Radical. Joining me this week as co-host is Bess Godin of the Millennial Splaining podcast. And our guests are Michael, Tango, and Alex from the Michael Anderson for School Board campaign in Florida School Board District 7. How's everybody doing today?
We're good, man. We're feeling real good. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. So Florida, that's where Ron DeSantis has been making all sorts of noise about putting parents back in charge of their kids' education in a way that seems just a little bit creepy and abusive.
Little Dion DeClantis is very interesting as a person for a number of reasons. And he being contradictory is definitely one of those that's high up there on the list. Nothing he does makes any sense.
I have to disagree because I've read a lot of the garbage that the people trying to run this sort of abusive and creepy educational plan have put out there. And if you actually understand that the agenda is, segregated schools by religion, economics, and race, and keeping queer kids out of public school almost entirely, then everything DeSantis does make sense.
I guess he really would in that context. I actually met him back before he even ran for anything. His wife, Casey Blackheart, as I call her now. Casey Blackheart was she was a minor celebrity here in Jacksonville. She was on the news. She and our esteemed mayor worked together. And I gotta tell you, Chris, I am almost ashamed of how I underestimated this woman's duplicitous nature. She is frighteningly manipulative, and because none of us ever had a clue as to the darkness that was in her. Like, she fooled everybody.
Wasn't she a journalist? Didn't she work with Donna Deegan?
Yes, she did. She was on air on she was pretty popular. And one of my friends here locally, DJ Mass Appeal, was having a birthday party at the Burrito Gallery. Shout out to the Burrito Gallery, RIP, because they just closed. We used to have his birthday parties there. And I was standing in the lobby, and in walks Casey Blackheart. And I go, Casey, what's good? She's like, hey. She's like, well, what's going on? So my friend Rob Roy was performing that night for the birthday party. We had 3 jams, and there's this little guy standing behind her, and the guy's standing there like he was smelling something bad. And I'm like, what's up with your mans? Oh yeah, man, he's okay. So I'm explaining to her what's going on, and I was kind of inviting her back, but I was second guessing myself as I was extending the invitation. Chris, I was like, I don't know if I want you to come back with him. He just gave off this. He gives off this Jafar vibe, man. When you're up close to him, he feels more like a cross between Iago and Jafar.
Oh yeah,
that's the energy that he gives off. Like, for real, dude.
What's funny too?
What's that?
What's funny is that I only ever got close to DeSantis once, and guess who was one of the comrades with me that day?
Who's with you?
Mike Anderson, me, and a couple other comrades. We got to confront DeSantis. We ambushed him when he was walking out of a building, and then he ran into his motorcade, and we stopped the motorcade, and we were protesting in front of it. I think I told you about it before, Chris, but yeah, Mike Anderson was one of the people that was with me that day. And that guy is a total coward. And like within a couple of days, he had a press conference in Tallahassee. Not saying it's related, it's coincidental. But he had a press conference where he was pushing for his run over protesters bill. He didn't call it that, but that's effectively what it was for. Now, which is an extension of stand your ground. I call it Charlottesville on steroids.
Pretty much.
You had all these Cubans within like a few months of when that was passed. These right wing Cubans blocking the road. And wanting their country invaded, and being the zealots that they are, and all of a sudden DeSantis like, oh, protect their rights. They have a right to assemble.
Oh yeah,
long as you're protesting a fascist agenda or imperialist agenda, you're fine. You're not going to be run over. But when you're on the left, when you're a progressive, when you're fighting for human rights, then if you feel threatened, go ahead and
Hey, Mike, remember Mike and I, Mike, we were with Victor Dempsey when that happened. Remember, we were out in the protest. Victor Dempsey from the Legal Defense Fund.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Mike.
CP Legal Defense Fund. Yeah, we were literally out there watching cops and thousands of Cubans, just
Latinos. I mean, of all,
everybody, just walking down the street, and we're like, wow.
Yeah,
and
I
when
guess it's okay for them.
And when basically I had organized in basically 2020 a BLM rally in our mayor's neighborhood at the time due to him illegally like setting a curfew due to the so-called riots that were happening
So-called riots, right?
A thing.
That's
and
what
so
they call them?
Yeah, and so and so literally we had 3,000 people marching in this affluent white area of town right near the mayor's house, screaming Black Lives Matter in 2020, and it was the most like inspirational thing that basically I saw, because because it was people actually holding their leaders accountable and saying, no, we need you to stop writing laws and policies that are literally killing us. Stop killing us. And so as a person who was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, in this school board District 7 race, I am tired of the political cosplay that is literally being played right now, and 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 uh, and 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 also been playing out for the last 34 years, my entire life here. And basically these people are playing with our future, and basically it is scary what is going on. Again, last year was my yesterday was my 2-year anniversary of being a substitute teacher for Duval County Public Schools. The things that basically I have seen working in this school district as a sub is frightening and like against the law on so many levels that 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 like it is scary what is basically happening to our students with disabilities, and just every student in general. And so like I am just tired of the games. I'm tired of us silencing victims, silencing students, and just it is time for a new leadership when it comes to Jacksonville politics. Because again, as I I was raised by a conservative Christian parents here in the South. I was literally brought up with the entire lies of capitalism, and bootstraps of like, yes, if you go to college, get a degree, and study hard in school. You can be anything you want, and da 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 da. And I'm just like, why are we lying to our children right now about their future? Like, stop lying, stop playing games, tell us the truth about what is going on. And again, Tango knows more about our political structure here in Jacksonville. Basically, he can give you better history. So if you want to,
Yeah.
brief.
It doing politics in Jacksonville, I didn't come to it naturally. I started off as an artist. I'm Gen X, just for reference. Mike and I met through activism. We were at a city council meeting, and I saw him go up to speak. And of course, he stutters, but he was so fearless when he walked up there. I just in my mind, I was like, damn, that kid is brave as shit. And then he contacted me to talk about Dream Defenders, the organization that we're both members of now. And we were talking, he was trying to bring Dream Defenders to Jacksonville. And I kind of warned him at the time. I'm like, dude, this place is not like anything else. You got to understand, you have to be prepared for how dirty it is. Like, I've been watching politics my entire life. Like, even as far back as my first election was Jimmy Carter. In my school election, and Jimmy Carter won. And when he didn't win, I learned a new word, which was landslide. I was like, what the fuck is a landslide? Excuse me. I didn't, but like, what's a landslide? And
you are allowed to say fuck on my show. It's okay.
Okay, cool. All right. So I didn't know what a landslide was, but I learned about that. And I've been involved in politics I've always been a political nerd. And then I became an artist through hip hop and being a part of hip hop culture. And I listened to artists like Public Enemy, X-Clan, Immortal Technique, Poor Righteous Teachers, Paris. Those were the artists that I emulated. And so I've always been political. And then at a certain time, I grew away from music because we have a whole culture of abuse within the music. And I was just like, I gotta be more active. And that's how we came together. But my point in bringing that up was, for us politically, we didn't come to politics naturally, which gives us a different attitude about politics. We don't have to be politicians. As a matter of fact, we loathe politicians, and we're not. We are dual power organizers who understand that you have to have activism and policy working together. Because if you don't, then you're just either you get in and you get bought out, or you're on the outside just yelling at the windows and nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck. They don't care. So, excuse me, sorry about that, y'all. But for Mike's introduction into what we're doing, Mike is a candidate who represents true progressivism. He's a true progressive. And you don't have those running in Jacksonville. You have people who are willing to compromise, and they will eventually fold and take the money. And it's sad. I mean, especially this. I mean, Travis Akers is literally the blueprint for Deion DeSantis. He's right out of the Navy. I'm a fresh face. I'm the guy. He just sat down and had a whole conversation with the Moms for Liberty candidate. Like, that's a good thing. And that's a part of the problem that we have here in Jacksonville, is there are allowances for white supremacy. Y'all don't hate white supremacy enough for me, bro. You really do not. You guys will, and they, I mean, even, I'm like, dude, Trump.
Fun fact. DeSantis put Erica Donalds, who is a Moms for Liberty academic advisor, on the board of trustees of Florida Gulf University.
Exactly. This is they talk about
now she started her career running for school board in Naples.
Yep.
Her husband is in Congress now.
Right?
They are part of the new deceptively racially friendly face of the Klan.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Where people will think that because she's a white woman married to a black man, she's somehow less of a Nazi.
I'm like, bro, do we not see Clarence Thomas?
She started by getting elected to the school board in Naples and basically killing all the funding for the local public school system.
Oh yeah.
And then essentially replacing the local public school system with her own franchise business run by a pro-segregation Christian college in Michigan.
Rick Scott, Marco Rubio, Deion DeClantis. I mean, all of them.
She is also, I'm getting into the woods here.
No, keep going. I like
he
the
is
woods.
also one of the academic advisors for an alternative college admissions test called the Classics Learning Test, which DeSantis gave state recognition. So now passing this test is another way to prove that you're eligible to attend the Florida State University system.
And affiliated university. But
here's the thing. The actual test, I have a friend who works in the school system in New Jersey. She's another one of my co-hosts. Mm-hmm. She looked at the actual test. The actual test is not fundamentally different from the SAT or the ACT in any meaningful way. It might as well be the same test. So there is a serious element of grift in addition to the politics here. Mm-hmm. But that should not distract us too much. Nazis are always grifters who are always trying to make money off their own political supporters.
The woman who came up with it, we should get a nickname for her, the Neapolitan fascist.
Yeah. But the reason I bring this up is because this organization is pushing this test as this culturally pure. And by culturally pure, they mean white Christian, but that's a whole other argument.
Yep.
A culturally pure curriculum based on the beauty and goodness of Western civilization. Now, the beauty and goodness of Western civilization is lifted right from the official 19th century educational policy of the Catholic Church as dictated by the disciples of Thomas Aquinas.
It's a Knights of the Templar, bro.
No, you don't have to get into the conspiratorial stuff. The main thing you have to remember is this is a 19th century religious educational policy.
It's the Inquisition.
Yes. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
So, I wanted to mention the fact that both Mike and myself were subs at the same time last year and witnessed similar things.
Mm-hmm.
They knew each other from before that. Mike was one of the first people I met through activism 4 years ago when I moved to Jacksonville. That same year that we confronted DeSantis, or the same thing, whatever you want to call him.
DeClantis. We're calling him DeClantis.
But I wanted to mention something that really convinced me that I needed to take part in Mike's campaign. Obviously, Tango's his campaign manager. I've recently become his press secretary. What really convinced me to get fully behind this candidate was not just the fact that I knew him. I usually don't like the electoral route. I prefer movement building. What really convinced me, though, is when I went to my first ever school board meeting with him the other day, and you saw the video out of that, Chris. I've been to several city council meetings as an activist, never to the school board. But what I witnessed at that school board really disturbed me. Not only seeing Travis face to face, his opponent, and how sinister he looks, and witnessing how cowardly he is in the parking lot, who's attacking Mike as a socialist as if that's a bad thing. Did the same thing with Gillum when he ran.
Oh, he's hella worse than that, but we'll get to that.
Mayor of Tallahassee, as if that's a bad thing. When Gillum ran for governor, against DeSantis.
Right.
Socialism is supposed to be a dirty word. But anyways, when I was there, they were commemorating. They were supposed to be commemorating Autism Month. And instead, there was barely any mention of it. And they talked about the Military Child Month. And they had these children. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I'd never been to one of these things before. And it was something out of like a tragic comedy or something. Like, they pulled these kids out and with these rifles marching around. I mean, no more than, 12, 13 years old. And that's what they wanted to commemorate. Like, If they called it the Children of Veterans Day, fine. They call it the military child. It seemed really Orwellian, the whole thing. And then they were ignoring the fact that it was Autism Day. Because, disability is supposed to be bad. That's supposed to be a dirty word too. So Mike, who has disability, who's very brave, as Tango mentioned, he went and spoke. I went and spoke. The audio was kind of messed up, so the video that didn't come out. But what did come out is when that evening when we were in the parking lot, Travis was running away from us to his car, and we started talking about this. Like, we need more progressives and socialists in local politics to stir things up. Whether we win or not, movement building is still very important to me. But yes, there are ways within electoralism that we can pressure people in the system as well.
But yeah, so the reason that it matters, the reason that it was a bad thing to call Gillum the mayor of Tallahassee is because if he says he's the mayor of Tallahassee, he doesn't have to use the N-word.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don't monkey this up. Remember that? Don't monkey this up, y'all.
Yes.
Exactly.
When he won the primary, that's exactly what he said. Let's not monkey this up. But, he was dog whistling to the victory, to the primary victory of Gillum. I'm generally anti-electoral, but I mean, school boards really matter.
Yes,
because school boards are where you actually fight the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it's this whole thing. There's a reason they go after education. And I'm going to want Bess's thoughts on this in a moment too, because she's just a little bit younger than me. I'm Gen X, like.
Yeah, we're Gen X. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Chris.
But there's the whole reason that we're seeing these attacks on education, whether it's first getting people scared about critical race theory and then claiming they're teaching an elective from law school in public schools at the elementary school level, after getting people scared of it, or the queer people are grooming your kids in the schools bullshit. What this all has in common is it's designed to remove any influence from the classroom that would stop a Nazi parent from raising their kid to be a Nazi too.
Pretty much. That. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I also think, well, first of all, let me say that any idiot who imposes a test on kids in schools should have to take that test first. Because I highly Ron DeSantis can pass a test about even white history, okay? So, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think that, there are so many movements to co-opt young people for several reasons. And it's not just because you're trying to, sort of instill your philosophy in somebody who is very impressionable, because that is the obvious goal. But it's also to get to the parents. It's also to community build. And it is also, it's sort of easier to use children as an excuse, right? When we're talking about these things and,
yes,
critical, critical race theory and all this stuff. It's sort of convenient because children are supposed to be protected and we're all supposed to, sugarcoat everything for them and whatever. So it's almost like, racists can say, oh, I'm not racist. I just don't want my children to hear it too young. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't hate gay people. I just don't want them to hear it too young, because then they'll be influenced by it. And then you're racist. So,
and then somebody who's trying to be reasonable says, okay, well, let's meet them halfway. And then now all of a sudden you've compromised with the idea that queer people aren't acceptable for children.
Right, exactly.
And you've normalized the idea. You've just made the bigotry that much more acceptable by normalizing it, by compromising with it, by saying, this is a legitimate position, let's meet them halfway.
It's all about dehumanization, Chris. Just like how they term undocumented workers as illegals, they want to dehumanize queer people. They want to dehumanize the disabled, dehumanize immigrants, and they're using it through education to prevent the next generation from rebelling, like the rebellions we saw throughout the country in 2020. That's the DeSantis agenda. That's the fascist agenda they're trying to impose here in Florida.
You're absolutely right about that, and that's like a historical tactic, like sad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
And
absolutely right, and they are using trans kid. I think we talked about this in an earlier episode, Chris, or I can't remember because it's all blurring together now. But they're using trans kids specifically to target the LGBTQ community.
yes,
Yeah.
And they're doing it in a way that sounds scientific, and that's what's scary because
Yeah.
like that's the thing. Like, if you look back at the history of racism in this country too, like there was a science around racism, right? Phrenology and shit like that. When you develop that much of a backstory for why something exists, then that
Drapetomania.
gets into people's minds. That really influences like an entire generation. And
there
how
was this whole fake science built on proving why Asian people were smarter and more cowardly, and why black
Drapetomania
people
explained why
were
black people would escape from slavery.
yes,
Yeah.
and now you have the
the original idea of
I can't
phrenology
even
was
remember the stupid name for it. It's so ridiculous. But it's like, so there's this medical condition that some people have that causes them to just panic when arrested by violent police officers.
Yeah.
And when they panic, they just can't control their physical need to defend themselves from these violent police officers, thereby justifying the violent police officers in killing them because of their regrettable disability. Now think about all that. When you really think about all that through, in the end, you're justifying cops killing disabled people.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, again, we basically had the entire thing with Ryan Gaynor that happened, and with the LAPD of them killing an autistic black child at 15, and again I was born with cerebral palsy, developmental delay, muscle weakness. I did not walk or talk till I was 3.5. I was basically in these ESE programs, special education, all of that throughout my entire life here, and so literally at the age of 10, I had witnessed my first black classmate die as a result of his disability. His name was Barry Burns, and basically he was in basically my fourth grade class, and so this when we talk about these policies and stuff like that, and what these policies actually represent when it comes to protecting marginalized communities in our school system for the fight that is coming when Trump wins, or if Biden wins, and so basically we need people on the school board who are ready to actually stand up and fight against this white supremacist terrorism that is literally coming for everyone who does not look like me. Now, again, I I was brought up in the Duval GOP in Jacksonville, because my mom was the original Moms for Liberty back in the day for the Jeb Bush era Republicans down there, and so again, in the time that I am grieving 3 classmates that literally died in the span of literally a year, and then and then and then and 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 then and and then I see my mom out here literally pouring her heart out, trying to get these people elected and doing all of this hard work and canvassing all of that. And I'm like, okay, wow. And then these candidates win, and then they pass laws like basically No Child Left Behind in 2001, and literally me as a disabled child at then was given a McKay scholarship and was sent to a charter school in School Board District 7, and was literally told, hey, just sit here, and it was literally a daycare for freaking disabled children. I was abused there. There are literally, our school system has not and does not care about children, because again, if they did, we would have fixed this shit 30 years ago, 20 something years ago.
And this classics literacy, this classics learning test I was talking about, the people who sign off on it are all white supremacists, charter school grifters, or this is the big one, respected academics with positions at major universities or in the school system of the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to add to my comrades, because they each hit a great point, I look at this and I see the racism of it all, because it's this neoliberals, moderates who are telling us, well, what else are you going to do? And my work with Dream Defenders and Black Voters Matter, we had Stacey Abrams come here, and she was speaking to us, and she was telling us, this is the last line. Like, the League of Women Voters got the fuck out of Florida, because the League of Women Voters, bro, like, that's a big deal. And so we're here, and we're watching this every day. And with any sort of political acumen, like I said, the reason why Alex and Mike and I are here is that all 3 of us see, we are the people who have to work together in order to make sure that this doesn't happen. We need to be progressive about it. And on the other side, we still have all these patronizing people, patronizing ableists, racists, trans antagonists, and everything else, just telling us what to do. And I'm like, you are not going to tell us what the fuck to do. We can lead ourselves. We can make a coalition.
Absolutely.
I feel like a progressive vision for education would be to allow children more freedom and safety in their schools.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty progressive to me, Chris.
Children actually have a voice.
We are prevented.
God forbid.
We are prevented from moving in that direction by reactionary parents who want Nazi schools to help them raise Nazi kids.
Right.
And they don't. And I use those words for a reason. Because we use lots of euphemisms in this country to describe what has been happening to it. We say religious fundamentalists. Mm-hmm. We say the Christian right. Mm-hmm. We say the white working class, which is unfair because it blames white poor people for something white rich people organize and pay for.
Mm-hmm.
All these euphemisms, and what we really mean are Nazis who want to control how people think and how people interact, keep everybody in their own box and prevent them from interacting outside those boxes as much as possible, and getting rid of anybody who doesn't fit into their vision for the country.
Come on.
Yep.
That's exactly what, get rid of any.
Exactly.
That is one of the reasons. That's why, even when I was talking about the titles, why I'm the media assassin, and I'm the social media assassin. The reason for that is the original media assassin is Harry Allen, who was a member of Public Enemy. I am the social media assassin because the media has changed, and you really do. You got to be a killer out here. You have to have the mindset of a killer, because that's what they're going to do. Is they're going to assassinate you out here if you're not ready. So
like Killer Mike, right? Like that rapper Killer Mike.
Yeah, Killer Mike. And you want to know? Here's a good story.
I haven't met him, but I met Immortal.
Right. Killer Mike is friends with my friend Marcus Farrell. Marcus Farrell was the African American outreach for Bernie Sanders' campaign. And I have a very, very strong beef with Bernie Sanders and the Bernie Bros in general because of how racist and the bigotry that I saw coming out of that campaign. And
I'm to the left of Bernie.
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. And you need to be to the left of Bernie, way to the left of Bernie, because Bernie ain't what people, he's not what they promoted him to be. And the progressives here in town are still Bernie Bros.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them don't know. I'm like, I know personally how they blamed a black man for what they did, because he begged them not to leave South Carolina. And they were like, nah, we're going on to Michigan. He's like, please don't do that. And they did. And then when they lost, they blackballed him and they cut him out. When he ran, they didn't even support him. And he's a progressive. He's still a progressive. He doesn't do politics. He right now he's running a dispensary. He opened a dispensary. He's like, fuck this. I'm moving on.
Is that Ebony Johnson?
I'm sorry?
Ebony Johnson? Or
no, it's Marcus Farrell.
Marcus Farrell. Sorry, I can't keep my people straight in South Carolina lately.
Right. He was working for the campaign when the Bernie Sanders campaign was going. Marcus is from Florida. I'm sorry.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Marcus is from Florida. He started off working for Alvin Brown's campaign. He ran Alvin Brown's campaign, and then that catapulted him in the Democratic circles up to Bernie Sanders.
There was a city councilman in South Carolina named Ebony Johnson who was one of the first people to endorse Bernie Sanders. The only time his campaign the only time he got mentioned in association with the Bernie Sanders campaign in any way in the media was when the Pete Buttigieg campaign was releasing their Frederick Douglass plan for Black education in America.
Right.
And they were putting the names of all these people who had allegedly endorsed it that they apparently just grabbed off of Google somewhere.
Wow.
And Ebony Johnson's name was on the list. They were putting Bernie Sanders the head of the South Carolina campaign for Bernie Sanders on the list of people who are allegedly supporting Pete Buttigieg's.
Damn, you know what? I really want to meet. I gotta.
That's the same Frederick Douglass that Trump said he met, right?
But here's what's important. This is the only time this guy was mentioned in national media in relation to the Bernie Sanders campaign at all. There was no event in South Carolina centered on him trying to get out the vote.
No, it wasn't. And because Marcus was begging them to do that. He was like, please, you guys, we can turn South Carolina.
And you have to blame Bernie for not going after votes in South Carolina.
You absolutely do, bro. And I know
blame Hillary for not going after votes in Michigan.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that.
His book, Our Revolution, says the Democrats need to stay in the South and focus more in the South. And
he's a hypocrite, though, because he ran. Like I said, Marcus told him not to. The point was we were talking about Killer Mike. Marcus is the person who introduced Bernie to Killer Mike, and the head of the campaign, his name is Jeff. I can't think of his name right now, but he was like, "Oh, Killer Mike, he sounds dangerous," and I'm like, "The fuck, bro."
Killer Mike is pro Cop City.
Yeah, the problem with Killer Mike, and we do within the hip hop community, we will say Michael Render will fuck up. Michael Render will say some dumb shit sometimes, but at the same time, he's out here, and we can have a conversation with Michael about that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He's not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I respect him within my culture of hip hop, but his politics are fucked. sometimes. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you even saying right now? Him and I'm like, bro, get away from Charlemagne. Charlemagne is fucking your head up. Get away from Charlemagne. But
there's always the class element of anybody's politics once they become successful.
Once you make see, he won a couple of Grammys, and look how you're acting, my guy, my boy.
Yeah.
Was really good. But that's a part of it, was they didn't even want to meet Killer Mike. And if Marcus hadn't introduced them to Killer Mike, he wouldn't have been a part of the campaign. Now you can't get rid of him. And that's what I'm saying about how, and then one of the things that Marcus is always saying is how they keep hiring the same consultants who always lose, but consultants like him and like who are out here, who are really, the people really know us, you know what I'm saying? We have to fight to find work.
There were two kinds of people on the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2020. The first were people who had been on the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And the second were the kind of Democrats that they thought would help them with Democrats.
Exactly.
There was too much good faith trust in the Democratic Party by the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2020.
That's a crazy statement right there, bro. Good faith trust in the Democratic campaign.
They were trying really, really hard to believe that the Democrats weren't going to screw Bernie over.
They were the professional class, right?
Debbie Wasserman Schultz used to drive me crazy, bro. I hated her so much.
So fun fact, she was one of two Democratic Congress people. When she was still in Congress, I think she still is. I don't remember.
She probably is. Nobody gets out of Congress.
I can't. Well, no, because some people in her part of Florida lost, but I can't remember what she did.
Part of Southeast Florida. Yeah, she's still down there.
Yeah, I thought she was.
They moved all these districts around, and some of their stalwarts, like Donna Shalala and Debbie Mucarsel-Powell, lost their seats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so I wasn't sure. But so she and Tom Halloran in Arizona are actually ALEC alumni. So these Democrats in Congress are alumni of the most right-wing, bigoted organization in mainstream congressional politics. And they're Democrats.
There are only three Democrats that were ever part of ALEC. One of them is DWS, who you mentioned. Yes. And the other one, the third one I don't remember, but the other one is Al Lawson. And part of his district was Jacksonville.
Tom Halloran.
I actually know Albert Chester who was a progressive that was going against him at the time. But yeah, Al Lawson was also one of the few ALEC members who's also a Democrat. So, that just shows the bipartisan agenda there.
Tom Halloran was a Republican who was asked to run as a Democrat in Arizona in order to stop the worst Republicans.
That's where Marcus ran. Marcus ran in Arizona, and like I said, that Bernie Sanders campaign didn't even endorse him. I was so pissed about that shit.
There was a candidate against the guy I'm talking about, Tom Halloran, Eva Putsova. She did not get endorsed. None of these people got endorsed
because the Democrats play games. It's the same thing that's happening in our race right now.
And people who were begging AOC to endorse them then saw her turn around and give her donors money to Connor Lamb.
Yeah. And I'm telling you that, and that's Travis Akers. That's the Travis Akers situation.
Yeah.
He is a neoliberal bigot who basically goes on these social media rants. He'll post something and delete it. I'm like, we don't delete around here. We say shit with our chest.
He's posted on Twitter, he posts right-wing talking points,
Yeah, he does because he's a bigot. He's a liar and he's a bigot.
No. This whole thing, and I'm sure Bess has thoughts about this too, because New Jersey is one of the places where they recruit Republicans to run as Democrats, which you wouldn't think, because New Jersey is one of these safe blue states. So why would you have to recruit Republicans to run as Democrats in a safe blue state?
They might as well recruit Tony Soprano.
Tony Soprano is at least probably a good Democrat who's always voted Democrat. I'm not saying he's a good person or that he's a good part of the Democratic Party, but he's probably never been a Republican.
Tony Soprano is the kind of Democrat that would also be a Republican on the right day. It's about,
That's true.
like, again, there's not much daylight between the two fucking parties. A lot
Absolutely.
of back and forth. And I had a great conversation with Zainab Day about this. I want to shout out her podcast is just starting, the Bullet Horn Bulletin, if you don't mind.
Good plug.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, so she's a great piece coming out about that. And we had a great conversation. That it's really about this two-party kayfabe, right? Like this, like they're just putting on a show for you because they want you to feel like you have choice and control in the system, but you do not.
Absolutely
because both
not.
Nope.
are the fucking same.
Mhm.
Also just say, to going back a couple subjects ago, I really like that you are unafraid of calling like the very conservative right Nazis, because here's what it is. Most people who identify as right wing or conservative probably do not identify themselves as Nazis. They do not identify themselves as white supremacists, and a lot of them are bitching about it. We hear it a lot. But the thing that they have to understand is that you might not personally be a Nazi. Like, you might not have a Nazi card in your wallet. You might not have a white supremacist, KKK hood in the back of your closet, but the talking points that you are echoing were written by Nazis, by KKK, by the people who have the worst intentions.
I'm not willing to believe that. I'm not willing to believe they don't have the hood in their closet without more evidence.
It's like Andrew Gillum said about DeSantis. He says, "I'm not saying you're a racist. I'm just saying that the racists think you are a racist."
Yeah, exactly. And
one final note.
Go ahead.
I am Jewish. I was raised Jewish, so I will co-sign on the Nazi thing. Second of all, I think that it's a good comparison because the Nazi case, right? Like if you sort of look at it as a bubble phenomena in that sort of like between World War I and World War II and after effects time period, the Nazi sort of movement was very, very based on eugenics. And there's a long history of that within racism in this country. And that's part of what I was discussing before when we were talking about science to solidify that certain people are less than human. That's exactly what phrenology was. It was the study of the bumps of the head. And you apparently that Black people had weirder heads than white people or something.
That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous, but it's this.
I like your head.
Veneer of science in an era where a lot of new scientific theories were popping up. And this is, again, an era where a lot of new scientific theories are popping up. And, we're talking about trans rights and disability rights as well, because, we are looking to understand that a lot of the rhetoric that's coming from the right about this is eugenics rhetoric.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Preach, sister, preach.
So yeah, I just wanted to make that point too, and 100 what
Hitler studied a lot of international genocidal campaigns that happened in other countries before he implemented it in Germany. For example, he studied the pogroms in Russia. He studied the Native American eugenics programs and the eugenics program used against slaves or African people. The eugenics program even in Puerto Rico.
California,
before Hitler,
Central America.
So he learned a lot from other countries in what he was implementing in Germany.
California,
countries.
My family was part of the pogroms. We escaped and made it here.
Wow, Chris, I'm sorry, Chris was gonna say something. What were you gonna say, bro?
California in the 1920s, the quote unquote progressive era, passed a set of eugenics laws that led to women in the California prison system being sterilized for years and years and years.
Yes.
It is now illegal to sterilize anyone in the California prison system without their consent and you or against or forcibly. But
that sounds convenient.
I
It
remember.
is still not against the rules to voluntarily sterilize them.
Wow.
And the law that basically says you should be trying to convince them to accept voluntary sterilization is still on the books, even though forcible sterilization is now illegal.
Isn't that crazy that they have to make a law?
And so
to say something
the
like that?
result is,
How could that
Wow.
be legal in the first
the,
place?
the result of this is
That's
that a certain
fucking
number
wild,
of
bro.
actual forcible sterilizations that are technically illegal happen every year, and they get caught every few years. If you watch news, if you do a Google headline for sterilization California prison, you'll see every few years they get caught.
Damn.
And
the private prisons probably.
and it's because
Mhm.
it's because the even though the law it's now illegal to sterilize someone without their consent, the actual eugenics law is still on the books. Now those laws
amazing.
were copied by Hitler when putting it into the racial purity laws for Nazi Germany.
The racism of the United States has inspired the world. I mean, that is one of our biggest exports is our racism.
But
Absolutely.
so
Wasn't one drop
people,
was something that came from slavery in the U.S.?
so
Yes,
yes.
exactly.
So
It did.
But
if
Hitler,
all of your grandparents, I'm sorry, if even one of your great grandparents was black, you were black. That was the rules.
One drop rule.
the one drop rule, yeah, and that became
Yeah.
popularized during Hitler's term too.
Exactly.
And the term for a person, they had specific slurs for people.
They had a racial
based on
taxonomy.
how far removed they were from being the N-word.
Even if you were just a quarter Jewish in Germany, you could still be gone after. I'm a quarter
So
Jewish.
so that you had the specific word for people who were half and half.
Quadroon, octoroon.
Then you had those for people whose
Mulattoes,
one grandparent
all
was
races.
the one great grandparent was the other, and it was if you
Yep,
got to
those
the
were-
point
that
where
was
his
the term.
great grandparent,
And that's where colorism
great
comes from in the
grandparents
black
were
community,
white.
where we promote racism against each other is colorism.
Yes.
That's where quadroon, octoroon,
Well,
mulatto, all that other shit. I mean, Spike Lee was a genius with the movies that he's produced. When you go back to Malcolm X, School Days, Jungle Fever especially. I mean, Jungle Fever covers a lot of that, the colorism and the interracial relationships, and that's a part of why my politics are the way they are.
Now, whiteness is just a reason for Europeans to stop being racist against each other. Because remember, before whiteness was invented, the Irish, the Irish and the English were at it because the English believed the Irish were an inferior race. The Spanish and the English, and the English and the French and the Germans all had real racial hatred against each other.
Tell them, bro. You better tell them.
The reason there are so many Polish jokes in America is because German Americans thought Polish Americans were inferior to German Americans.
They hate you until they need you, bro. That's always what it is, and that's exactly what it is.
Catholic, all that's involved too.
Yeah, all that. I mean, that was the OG reason right there. Alex was the religions. It's always been religious persecution.
I mean, and I'm going to quote Hitler here because you really have to understand some of where other people are coming from. Hitler said, "Class is race, and race is caste." Now, caste is a religious concept.
Yeah, no, that's why I said that was a deep statement. I'm like, damn, that's a good one, bro.
So when you're calling someone a Nazi, you need to remember how Hitler saw that, and if their thinking conforms to that thinking, class is race, race is caste.
Yeah, if you go to dinner with 9 Nazis, then you have a dinner with 10 Nazis.
Napoleon. I want to quote Napoleon real quick. Napoleon said, "Religion was invented so to prevent the poor from killing the rich."
I mean, that's true.
Facts. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Religion was invented to keep the poor from killing the rich.
Yeah.
That worked.
Yeah, and then I'm
part of Hinduism, and it is also a part of Indian government. Their party system is very much based on the caste system, and is still a very like they're
Even Gandhi could have put a stop to it because it was so ingrained in the religion.
So that's
well,
the
no, listen,
problem.
so
Gandhi was in
I have 5
favor of.
minutes left. I have 5 minutes
Yeah.
left. So let me just get my point out, and then I'll
Yeah. We're about to get a hard stop. So yeah, go ahead. Let her do her thing.
sorry, y'all. But yeah, so it's to the point where today there is a party called the Patels, and the Patels are the farmer class traditionally in the caste system. And again, this caste system predates Christianity. You know, it goes back all the way to Sanskrit, right? Like this is a fundamental part of Hinduism, when Hinduism was the government, right? Religion was government, right? It was no separation at that time. So I just wanted to make that distinction.
That's
And
beautiful.
I also want
Thank
to
you.
say that you guys are all awesome, and this conversation has been amazing. It's super awesome meeting you.
No, yeah, you too.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you got such a hard stop. This has been a great Sunday. I appreciate you having us on, Chris. If I could speak for the campaign, and you guys call for everything. I appreciate everything.
I appreciate you guys, and let's definitely do this again.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Sure. I'll catch you all later. Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bess. You have a great Sunday, and
Bye.
I will see you around.
All right. Take care, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Solidarity.
Squad.
So, but it really is. Even Gandhi didn't want to put a stop to the caste thing, because Gandhi, to a certain degree, believed in the caste the caste system.
He was a complex man. There was a lot of contradictions.
There's a famous, when he met Dr. Ambedkar, who was the leader of the democracy movement, one of the great social democratic thinkers of history, who has been sadly forgotten because of the degree to which caste is embedded in politics in India, because he was the leader of the Untouchables movement too, and was himself a member of a caste considered untouchable.
What's the Hindi word for untouchable? Is it Dalit? Dalit?
It's Dalit, yes,
Yeah,
Dalit. I can't manage the pronunciation, but Dalit.
Yeah, Dalit.
Yeah, Dalit.
And when Gandhi met Dr. Ambedkar, he said to him, "You went to law school. So why did you use the talents? Why did you use your talents so selfishly instead of coming up with a better way to beg and helping all your people?"
Yeah, no, I mean that is so deep on.
It's in the Indian Constitution, by the way, that you can't have caste system anymore, but it still goes on in the countryside.
Well,
and in the religion and certain interpretations of it. Yeah.
You have to remember that the party that is in power right now, Modi's party, whose international branch has funded congressional figures as far apart as Republicans like DeSantis when he was in Congress, and Democrats like Carolyn Maloney from New York, who I don't believe is in Congress anymore.
Tulsi
Gabbard
from the right wing.
All of these took money from the American arm of
I wouldn't be surprised if they funded
party.
the Gray Zone. You know, the Gray Zone has praised Modi.
That wouldn't shock
That's an
me.
organization there, huh?
That wouldn't shock me. But anyway, the point I'm making is that they are a Hindu nationalist party. Their ideas are compatible with the ideas that Hitler and Himmler basically stole from their interpretation of proto-Hindu Indian philosophical works to justify their whole race science. Because remember, because of the way languages work, the race science of the 19th and 20th century would have you believe that because their language comes from the same roots, the people of India and the people of Germany are both Aryan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta leave pretty soon, but I just wanted to.
Yeah, we all. I think we all do.
Yes.
I wanted to put my 2 cents in
possibly.
real quick because I have to go right this instant. But the Aryans were not Nordic people like the Nazis were pushing.
No,
the Aryans were Mediterranean
so
people that went to India and other countries.
So
So they had it all wrong there.
And here's the whole thing in the first place. What we think of as ethnic groups are not racial genetic groupings. They are linguistic cultural groupings.
Yeah, like Indo-European groups. Yeah.
The people who chose to group together around common languages are people who chose to live a specific way.
Yeah, it's culture.
Originally, these people were not necessarily of the same racial homogeneous stock.
Right.
This whole notion of identifying,
we're not the same physical. Genetic.
This whole idea of identifying your race.
I want to thank you, Chris,
for
having us on, and keep talking to these other two gentlemen, and I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, Alex. Yeah,
thanks,
good to see
Alex.
you, bro. Peace.
This whole idea of choosing your race of expressing your race from your clan was itself the idea that came up after we had broken off into all these clan groups based on different cultural and linguistic groupings.
Oh no, culture, and like we're talking about the genetics of culture, or if culture is actually genetic, and these nationalities and these ethnicities, we're putting people in boxes. And that's a part of the whole idea of what when you talk about whiteness, the most dangerous thing that we have in this country is unexamined whiteness, and that's one of the problems of Travis Akers is that he refuses to examine his whiteness.
This racist clan thinking then becomes infectious because you have a situation where you have a social division in Africa, specifically in what's now Rwanda, that was in a sense based on class more than ethnicity. Between people who lived in towns and did trading and people who lived in more rural villages and had a farming economy and a military culture.
The merchant class versus the worker class. You
was sort of a merchant class versus a feudal soldier aristocrat class.
And that's a lot
in
of
the German colonial era. These class groups became reclassified in the German mindset as racial/ethnic groups, and this led to a genocide.
That's a lot of what we're talking about here. And I don't want my battery's super low at this point, so I don't want to get cut off. But
final thoughts from you guys.
I'm gonna just say, everything, all of this comes down to, like I said, unexamined whiteness. Because if you look at my Twitter page, my pinned tweet is a tweet between Travis Akers and my mentor Ben Frazier, where he was telling him, what is or isn't racist. And the argument here is that we never make him explain what he means. He keeps trying to say, well, I already talked about that with Ben. Well, you owe that same conversation to other Black people, sir. So that's exactly what, what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to get across, is that you guys, whomever you are, you need to be willing to examine your whiteness. And if you're not willing to examine your whiteness, you're very dangerous.
If you believe racism is about the intent in your soul, you're part of the problem.
Exactly. And that's Travis, and him going, I'm not surprised to see him going after Alex the way that he is, because he's disingenuous. And Michael is the right candidate. He's been in the school system. He's a product of the school system, and as an activist, he's been already speaking against it. That makes him the perfect candidate, and that's going to be my final word on this. So thank you again, Chris, for having us. And you can I'd love to come back any other time if you have some other subjects.
Exactly.
I'm always looking to have people on to talk about all sorts of things.
We're down for a variety of things, but
education in red states, blue states too, because this isn't just happening in red states, but
you're
red
right.
states are being written off by the rest of the country. You see people say, well, Florida's just going to be Florida.
No, it's not. We could really use support. There's people here on the ground. Some of us don't have the option of leaving. And for those of us here on the ground, man, Every dollar helps.
Well, how did West Virginia become the Republican hellhole that it is today?
Probably the same way Florida did.
Well, the way that West Virginia became the Republican hellhole that it is today is that Democrats stopped supporting these radical coal mine labor organizers who built the West Virginia Democratic Party and started supporting these suburban folks who had moved to West Virginia because some company was opening a factory somewhere to take advantage of poor people.
Yeah.
And they decided those suburban votes mattered more than
they put the ops in. Yeah.
Democratic Party.
They put the ops in. That's what it is, man. And so
it's just
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
The word redneck comes from the Redneck Army.
Mm-hmm.
The Redneck Army were the people who were fighting for the coal miners in the Appalachian Coal Wars.
Yep, they co-opted that too.
They were a coalition of scabs and union workers who got together realizing if they can't hire scabs, they can't screw over the union people.
Yeah. One thing I'm going to say real quick, because you made me think about it just then. My necklace that I wear is the Punisher symbol, as you can see. And the guy who created the Punisher, his name is Jerry Conway. Again, the Punisher, the Punisher skull and the Punisher mythology has been co-opted by law enforcement. When the truth is, if you're a blurred like me, a black nerd who's into comics, you know that Frank Castle wouldn't have anything to do with these people. And they actually wrote that into the book. And Jerry Conway, one of the best, one of my favorite Punisher shirts was a Black Lives Matter shirt that sold out immediately. You can't find it anywhere, and I want it. And that's one of the reasons why I wear this symbol, is that I refuse to allow people to co-opt it. And law enforcement see it and go, "Oh, you want to?" No, I'm not. And y'all don't.
We probably, since you're Gen X too, we probably need to do a show one of these days about Frank Miller and Klaus Janson letting Nazis into conventions.
Hey, just make the call. I love it. Make the call, bro. I'm here for it. I appreciate you, Chris. We're instant. Did we just become best friends?
Own show.
Did we just become best friends?
Possibly. We'll see.
That's what's up, man. Thank you, bro. I'm going to dump out, y'all. Y'all be good.
But yeah, the whole point for folks who did not know it was that Frank Castle in the original story, the reason his family was killed is because he was one of the only people on the police department who wasn't corrupt. And the other cops were trying to kill him for being honest.
And they co-opted it. They have co-opted it, and that's why I wear this so proudly, and I will not take it off, bro. And my boy Mike understands that. So that's what's up, man. I love y'all. I mean, this was dope. We got to do it again.
Yeah, this was awesome. Again,
take care and thank you, Mike.
Of course, yeah. I mean, again, basically, I have said this entire campaign, I am a product of this school system. I have seen what party politics has done to my education and to what basically I experienced as a child growing up in the school system. I was in charter, homeschool, magnet schools, all of those things, and then now growing up and realizing that me as a disabled person, I cannot get a job or medical care that basically I need to actually live and survive and to be a healthy, all because our leaders who were chosen to lead us on both sides of the aisle started using school board as a way to get their future set and not every single child's future set to where hopefully in 30 years when my student who just turned 5 who who is on a feeding tube and is basically non-verbal will will have a stronger and better future because of what is basically happening right now. We are literally starting over to ground zero here in Florida, because like we basically have to right now. I I have I have watched too many again. I was a Gillum Democrat. I had I had I had switched from NPA to a Democrat in 2018. I had worked for every single candidate since then. I I had here in like my side of the county and basically my district. I've worked on every single Democratic candidate, e- even my own campaign when I ran in 2022 for Florida State House here against a woman who would literally tried to sell our open utility company, JEA here in Jacksonville, and basically
Wow.
I got 40% of the vote in in a race that basically no one thought I would get 10%, because it's so red over here in this area, we Democrats can't win, da 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 da. And I'm and so like I have been on the field, on the ground, working for all of these different things, and literally our Democratic party literally doesn't care, again, doesn't care about the fact that basically people are homeless and in poverty, and our teachers are literally struggling to make ends meet as a sub. Like we have subs like Alex, who is literally just trying to take care of him and basically his aging father who has Alzheimer's and all of this other thing. And it's like, where are the people thinking about the teachers and the children? And so and then and then and 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 then it was after Oc- Oc- October 7th. I had I I I had received a phone call from a fellow neighbor who had said, "Look, I am a Palestinian, a American here. I am seeing your your opponents. I'm running against Travis Akers, a conservative Democrat / Republican, and then a Moms for Liberty candidate, Melody Bolduc, and so literally this neighbor calls me and is like, these are all Zionist people spouting all this hatred. What is your thoughts on this? Even though it is school board, all of these decisions matter and what you say. And I said, look, I believe your voice matters. What what whatever your race, ethnicity, economic situation, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, background or belief, age or condition of ableness. I believe your 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 voice matters. And again, you need 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 to feel safe sending your children to school in this school district, because of the fact that yes, there is all of this. And and so it was literally at, at after that a phone call that I had switched back to MPA, and now I am just running as a substitute teacher, a broke substitute teacher here in Jacksonville, Florida, and saying, look, I do not support genocide. I do not support our current status quo here in basically our school system of silencing victims, silencing teachers and students who are just trying to teach and learn. And basically all of this party politics needs to stop, and we need to move forward and talk about how basically no child left behind was the law that was passed when I I I was in school. Now it is the mandate for literally all children in basically DCPS. We are not leaving any child behind. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you joining us. I hope you have a great rest of the Sunday.
You as well.
And everyone who's joined us from home and been watching, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll tweet at you.
Yeah.